Ready for another post-apocalyptic story like the ones we love so much? Well, let's get right to it. She is Eva, and she is probably one of the last survivors on planet Earth. Humanity, as always, caused its own destruction and led the planet to extinction. Instead of collaborating to repair the damage, the nations destroyed each other in a massive missile attack, killing 99.99% of the world's population and bringing the entire planet back to the Stone Age. An unprecedented act of selfishness. And then they wonder why aliens don't visit us. The few who survived took refuge in remote areas, fleeing from the intense radiation that killed them in horrible ways. This is one of the places Eva chose, who prefers to stay away from everything. Her only companion, a version 2 robot named Arthur, who provides her with a bit of company in this empty world. One morning with good weather, Eva took her things and prepared to go to the city. She needs to stock up on some things, and days like this don't come often. Arthur advised her to stay away from the center and the water. Do not drink water exposed to radiation or you'll die before returning to camp. The first thing Eva does upon arriving is enter the local supermarket and take what little she finds. Some cans and a few lavender seeds. Although the hope that something will grow in the wasteland is slim, hope is the last thing to be lost. Then she explores other places in search of things that might be useful to her, managing to find some solar panels that she could install in the shelter. That would give her the electricity she needs for the rest of the equipment. Maybe she could set up some lamps and create a hydroponic farm, who knows? If she succeeds, she might eat some fresh vegetables before her rations run out. Each trip she makes to the city has to drive further. Soon there will be nothing valuable in that entire place, and he needs to start thinking about a self-sufficient shelter. This was her father's mission, and although Eva is skilled with tools, her old man's experience is unmatched. Wherever he is, it's been years that it's just her and Arthur. That's why she treats him mockingly. That's how she used to get along with her father. She doesn't know anyone else who would put up with her as much as he did. Before leaving, she writes the coordinates of her camp on some walls. If there's anyone alive out there, she hopes they can read it. Upon arrival, Arthur asks for the secret word, but she mocks him. In that moment, Eva says the keyword. Arthur is clearly dangerous. He doesn't understand sarcasm, and Eva should be a bit more careful, as she wouldn't want to get shot for joking around all the time. Every night, Eva does the same. She writes in her journal about her day, tends to her nursery where she hopes to grow her own fruit someday, and keeps the equipment running. Meanwhile, Arthur patrols the area. It's his job all night. In this world, the few humans left aren't friendly and will surely slit your throat to rob you. The next morning, Eva begins to install some solar panels, hoping to have enough electricity to power the rest of the equipment. There she takes the opportunity to present some riddles to Arthur. He likes to play with his memory. It makes the time pass faster. Eva asks Arthur to share something about his past, and he says he's a patrol robot. His job is to keep anyone who doesn't know the password out of the perimeter. He started operating in 2040 on the border with Mexico. There he completed a perfect record and has more than 4,000 control breach files, which in simple terms means that Arthur killed more than 4,000 immigrants who tried to cross into the US during a time of crisis. Throughout the border, thousands of robots were installed, each performing the same task as Arthur, until the bombs finally fell. The next morning, Eva prepares to leave for the city again. Christmas is approaching, and she wants to get a spare eye for Arthur. It's a miserable company, but it's all she has. However, when the sun rises and she has her van loaded with her things, Arthur updates and asks for access to the house. The robot demands the secret word from her, and she, with her usual humor, tries to play, but it raises its weapon and prepares to shoot. Eva tells him to calm down and gives him the password, but Arthur reveals it's the previous one. The new one has just been generated, and Eva has 30 seconds before he opens fire. However, she can't remember the method to calculate the new password. Is that noted in a notebook in the kitchen, but how can she get to it if Arthur doesn't allow her to enter? For a few seconds, Eva tries to talk to the robot, but it's useless. In the end, she has to hide to get out of its line of sight and avoid getting hurt. Unable to remember the method for the new code, Eva has no choice but to spend the night outside, while she thinks of a way to regain control of her home. Although the only thing she can think about is how she could have been so stupid to let this happen. The next day, Eva is suffering from the lack of water and tries by all possible means to trick Arthur into letting her in. Even he changes his clothes and pretends to be a refugee, reciting the robotics laws he knows so that Arthur will let him pass. However, this does not work for him. Arthur mockingly gives her the nearest embassy coordinates so Eva can ask for help there. A great moment to understand sarcasm. With each hour, Eva feels more frustrated. She can't trick the robot, and it has enough firepower to kill her 100 times. Maybe she could run him over, but she'd lose the car and be stranded. Unable to go to the city, Arthur is slow, but his aim is precise. If she tries to go around and enter its blind side, she might get lucky, but if she fails, she'll surely die. Each option has big risks, but what's certain is she's been away for 2 days without a drop of water. Arthur keeps patrolling side to side. He's a robot, so expecting him to tire is invalid. The robot watches the station every second. He recognizes Eva and talks to her about the jokes and riddles they used to do every day, but still doesn't allow her entry unless she recites the password. Exhausted, overwhelmed, and clearly dehydrated, Eva begins to lose her patience. The only place she knows that might have water or resources is the nuclear operations base, half a day's journey away, so she takes the car and heads there. Upon arrival, she must climb the enormous facility and enter using rappel. The place is desolate, but after a while of searching, she finds a room full of water jugs. However, the door is locked, so she goes for an axe to break it. At that moment, her chute runs out of oxygen and she must remove the mask, exposing herself to the station's toxins. When he breaks the door, his effort turns into disappointment upon realizing the containers are empty. Now she is more tired and more dehydrated than before, not to mention that she has been exposed to the toxic climate and that could kill her. As night falls, she drives back home. Upon seeing Arthur patrolling, she becomes filled with rage and speeds directly towards him, managing to jump at the last second. The car explodes and turns into a ball of fire, but Arthur is unharmed. His strong armor has kept him safe, and he continues to demand the keyword. Eva faints from the explosion. The next morning, Arthur approaches her. The target was destroyed, but the stranger might be nearby and advises her to enter the house, but demands the password first. Eva begs for water, but the robot does not relent. Its programming is simple, and she hasn't thought of a way to trick it. Perhaps if he hadn't spent all his time joking around, he might have remembered to put a copy of the key manual in the car. The next day, Eva is on the brink of death and begins to hallucinate about being in a city full of people, including her father, who was with her during the first years of the apocalypse until one day he went for supplies and never returned. Arthur detects her vital signs and heart rate, so he tells her that when she dies, an emergency protocol will activate and the key will reset. She will no longer be part of this world, but the shelter remains valuable, so he will ensure it stays safe when she is gone. Little by little, Eva's life fades away. In the end, she takes the seeds and plants them in the ground. Then she tells Arthur that the next keyword after she dies will be lavender, and asks him to water the seeds daily in her honor. The movie ends with an aerial shot of Arthur patrolling the camp after Eva's death, who couldn't remember the key or deceive Arthur. So now her body rests at the edge of the complex with the solar panels functioning. Arthur could keep his battery running for 100 more years without any problems. He doesn't have to deal with loneliness, although he will never know the answer to the riddles he received from Eva. And that's how this great movie ends. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and thanks for watching.